While you're watching the Super Bowl on Sunday on your flat panel television or getting updates on your iPhone, think of one company in particular, Cymer. It's based in San Diego, and while it won't be advertising during the game or on the outside of the stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the Super Bowl wouldn't look the same without it. On America this afternoon, Mike Hegedus shines a little light on the subject, and he is in Southern California.
This one fires about 30 nanoseconds after this one.
While he is not talking about the speed with which Tom Brady can get off a pass to Randy Moss, what he is talking about has everything in the world to do with your ability to see it, hear it. If it was the Almighty that said, "Let there be light," then it was the folks here at Cymer that figured out how to focus it.
We enable basically the way people communicate, the way that people do business, and of course the way they entertain themselves.
What San Diego-based Cymer does is build lasers, Excimer lasers, and what those lasers are used for is...
Basically, we help manufacture virtually every chip in every product that you can imagine.
Physicist Bob Akins is NASDAQ-traded Cymer's chairman and CEO, and it was he and his partner in, yes, a garage in Rancho Bernardo 22 years ago that figured out how to focus the necessary light. That was 670 patents ago. Cymer's lasers are now used by nearly all chip and microprocessor makers worldwide. It takes a laser to etch the necessary circuits onto various chips. And as chips have gotten smaller and been required to carry more information, the need for higher intensity light has increased.
Circuits continue to be denser and denser, memories need to be greater and greater, and that just continues to cause the continuing densification of chips, and that's the drive.
At first they were looking for a medical use for their high-intensity laser, but turned to chip making when they discovered that IBM had used one of their light sources to make chips it sold to Industrial Light and Magic, chips ILM used to make Jurassic Park.
Those scenes were done with chips that were built with Cymer's light sources. The first small impact that we had on the real world.
Now virtually every television camera that shoots Sunday's Super Bowl, every monitor in the production truck, and millions of television sets around the world will carry chips made with lasers produced here. So when the announcer says, "Eli Manning threw that one like a laser," you'll know he's right. On America, Mike Hegedus, CNBC, in San Diego, California.
And you can stay up to date with Mike Hegedus and his trips around America by going to his blog at our website at cnbc.com.
Some final thoughts from our guest anchor today, John Hilsenrath of the Wall Street Journal. And you're still thinking about Ben Bernanke,
Still thinking about Ben Bernanke. You know, sometimes what you don't hear is as important as what you do hear in the markets. And one thing we're not hearing anyone say today is the Fed has to cut rates. The Fed has to cut rates. We got negative job numbers, and no one's clamoring for Fed rate cuts because
the futures markets
Ben Bernanke cut rates very aggressively the last couple of weeks. He's gotten all kinds of flack. You know, he's stumbled along the way, but in the end, perhaps he got the Fed funds rate to where it needs to be right now today. So, you know, all the critics maybe out there ought to be saying, "You're not so bad, Ben. You didn't get it so wrong."
A lot of people still think, though, we would not have had 2 weeks of intense volatility, which hurt market psychology and investor psychology if he had cut earlier.
Blame that on the guys on Wall Street who created all these CDOs that are now blowing up. He didn't do that.
What do you think of the futures market still pricing in 100 basis points?
Well, I mean,